best appearing cars coming out onto the racetrack right now, and you, the fans, are going to determine who our best appearing car will be this afternoon. Now wait a minute, that's no fair. No fair, guys. I see you right here with the monster beers. Now wait a minute. You got to move back in the stands. We got to be fair here. So we're going to do a sound check. So on the count of 3, we're going to need you to cheer. And Brother Steve down there has got the meter, and we'll see if we can make a judgment. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, now we got a reading. Great. Okay. Your cheers are going to determine who the best appearing car is. And first, it's the number 1 from Detroit, Michigan, Roger Owens. Next up from New Haven, Michigan, in the number 5, Jeff Rohde. Next up from Rockford, Michigan, in the number 19, Dwayne Mosley. And next up in the number 75, Kevin Karnak. And finally in the number 89, Jim Scholes. Okay, we got to do this one more time. It's going to be the number 19 and the number 89. So first up, once again, for the number 89 of Jim Scholes. And now, for the number 19 of Dwayne Mosley. And it's the number 19 of Dwayne Mosley, our best appearing car this afternoon here at the Flat Rock Speedway. How about a nice round of applause for all our best appearing cars this afternoon here for our Enduro 250. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to the Flat Rock Speedway on this beautiful Sunday afternoon for our second Enduro 250. Before we get our racing program underway, we always like to introduce some of the people putting on the racing program for you, including your hard-working promoters, Ron and Val Drager. This afternoon, timing and scoring handled by Frank Boxstance, Sherry Lindahl. Steve Lindahl will be working with the scoring crew down here. This afternoon on the flag stand, Jeff Braber, assisted by Quality Clutches, Rick Pargo. And your voice of the Flat Rock Speedway, I'm always glad to be here with you. My name is Gary Lindahl. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as is customary before each and every sporting event in these fine United States of ours, we ask you to please rise for the playing of our national anthem. Now it's my favorite time of the afternoon. It's time to go Enduro 250 racing. We're going to bring that starting field out for you at this time. And also we'd like to mention that our jam car driver this afternoon, and you can see our jam car is We Be Jammin'. Jeremy Miller will be driving the jam car this afternoon. I see. John Bridges' date for the evening. I see. Okay. Afternoon's Enduro 250 at the Flat Rock Speedway. In the number 1, it's Roger Owens. In the number 2, Dave Cook. In the 02, Bob Stute. In the number 4, Ted Blackburn. In the number 5, Jeff Rhodey. Joe McCormick in the number 6, Jimmy Farrell in 7, Kenneth Stanton in 8, John Casella in 9, Alan Korf in 10, John Ryberger in 11, Paul Navy in 12, Al Lane in 13, John Klenkon in 14, John Rooks in 15, Todd Fitzpatrick in 16, Steve Sasek in 17, Ron Garst in 18. Could we have the primary score for 93 come to the tower, please? Dwayne Mosley in the number 19, our Best Touring Car Award winner. Bill Robertson in 20, William Paul in 21, Bob Hookrattle in 22, T. Raymond in 23, Ken Mayer in 24, Cliff Bailey in 25, Tim Ernest in 27, Ken Boyd in 28, Bob Rogetsky in 29, Ronald Keys in 30, Michael Jeff in 31, Steve Northrup in 32, Bruce Brando in 34, Adam Robinson in 36, Doug Majors in 37, Bert Olette in 38, Chris Utuma in 39, James Ballard in 40, Brian North in 41, Dennis Papineau in 42, William Rinaldi in 43, John Provenzano in 44, Robert Ramus in 45, Chuck Brewer in 46, Skip Kissel in 47, John Rouse in 48, Jeff Hurley in 49, Dave Krugerbaugh in 51, Chuck Feeback in 52, Gary Gibson in 53, Mike Bellows in 54, Terry Haywood in 55, Gary Estridge in 56, Tony Barrett in 57, Mark Osborne in 58, Kevin Stupinski in 60, Mike Simon in 62, Luke Bettler in 63, Bruce Burrows in 64, Steve Riddle in 65, Clifford Oberlett in 66, Doug Rapley in 67, Joe Ryberger in 68, Daniel Jarvis in 69, Harry Reek in 70, Warren Peets in 71, Larry Harrison in 72, John Scott in 73, David Trutton in 74, Kevin Karnak in 75, Jim Murney in 76, Lee Cochran in 77, David Decker in 78, Mike Morris in 79, Robert Kroll in 80, Dave Mercier in 81, Mike Hanskins in 83, John Estep in 86, David Spence in 82, Gary Calhoun in 84, Michael Osborne in 85, Gerald Irritano in 87, Jim Scolas in 89, Ron Delsey in 91, Steve Bork in 92, Steve Murray in 93, Jack Budzik in 98, and Jeff Lucier in 101. Those are the automobiles involved in our Enduro 250 starting lineup this afternoon. This afternoon. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Green flag is out and we are underway. And Roger Owens in the rocket number 1. Leading early on. Of course, we really take a long time to sort these things out. But Roger Owens in in the number 1 and the blue number 4 of Ted Blackburn. 5 speed in the number 02, and we already got one backing into the wall. Up there in our pit wall and in turn number 1, and he's got a tough way to go to try and get back into traffic. In the number 02 right now, your leader. Of course, this is early in this Enduro 250, so we try and sort them out. We are watching the number 02 of Bob Stute, the number 4 of Ted Blackburn. the automobiles running up front early in our Enduro 250 as we're watching down the back straightaway. Paul Navy in the number 12. It's a loved this event many times in the past. Bob Stewart in the number 02 now right on his back bumper as they come down the main straightaway and into turn number 1. You mentioned early in this Enduro 250, somebody popping a tire, it sounds like. Richard Lambert. Richard to the tower, please. Richard to the tower, please. Well, Paul Navy in the number 12. We got him stacked up. Oh, look out. In turn number 1 once again. Bob Stewart in the number 02. Paul Navy in the number 12. Continuing to battle up front. Looks like the number 10 of Alan Korf getting together with the number 74 of David Trouton over in that turn 1 area. Battle. Watching the number 02 of Bob Stewart right now. As traffic once again stacking up. Look out, it's the number 67 of Doug Rapley crossed up over there in that turn 4 area. And they are stacking them up once again in that turn 1 area. So all kinds of action going on early in this Enduro 250. And we're watching Bob Stewart in the number 02. Paul Navy in the number 12 running side by side just about on the racetrack. Now Navy has been stuck behind Bob Stewart, number 02. Those are the 2 cars that we're watching early in this Enduro. Looking at number 84, and it's for the tire. And he got it. Gary Calhoun in the number 84, getting into the tire, putting a little dust in that turn 1 area, trying to get back into this battle. Sitting at top, turn number 3, and we got somebody getting over that bumper. We're trying to put the red flag out on this one. Red flag is out. Red flag out on the racetrack. Everyone needs to really check on the brakes of these automobiles. So we are going to make a very quick run-up on the banking. To pick up that bumper, we've got it gathered up back into the infield area, and we are just about ready to restart this Enduro 250 as soon as assistant starter Rick Cargill gets back into our tower. Well, we got a couple of drivers that are getting out of their automobiles, we see, coming down into the pit area.
Videotape.
They won't let you sit on the steps.
Can I get over there? And of course, as you said earlier, I could...
We are making some final checks around the racetrack before we restart this Enduro 250. And we are checking on. And we do have a fire underneath one of those automobiles to observe. Number 55, and now we see another fire driver getting out of that automobile. Another one of the automobiles down there in that Now back into the infield area. We are checking the track one final time, and we are just about ready to put the green flag back out on our Enduro 250. see. Early on, and we have been watching the number 02 of Bob Stewart and the number 12 of Paul Navy as they have been battling early in the around 20 lap area of this Enduro 250, right around 22, 23 laps. So it is early on. And Paul Navy in the number 12, veteran, who has led many, many times in these Enduro 250s. Watching the progress in that automobile as he goes into turn number 1, and we got quite a friend. And trying to get into our pit area as they trade a little paint going into turn number 1. Well, Bob Stewart, who has been one of the cars leading early in this Enduro 250, has some problems trying to get into the pit area. We're watching the number 12 of Paul Navy. Look out, the number 84 really getting in. The number 84 of Jerry Calhoun getting into the back end of the number 02 of Bob Stewart. We are trying to get those automobiles into our pit area. So we've got quite a traffic jam into that turn 1 area right now. We are watching the number 12 of Paul Navy early in this Enduro 250 as they are trying to get their automobiles squared away and trying to get them into the pit area. Well, we got a couple automobiles that are stalled near our pit area, and it looks like we are going to have to get an assist from Weeby Jam and Jeremy Miller in our jam car this afternoon. Jam and Jeremy. So we are trying to get those automobiles. Apparently they're stalled. Look out, somebody having fun over there in that turn 3 area. See the number 34 cross them. That's Bruce Bramble in the number 34. And turning the lights on, we got quite a traffic jam going into turn number 1 as they try and get that automobile. Jeremy Miller now trying to find which way is the best way to go out onto the racetrack. So we are trying to get some help in that turn 1 area. You can see our pit gate is really jammed up right now. Jeremy Miller, I love it when the jam car comes out there. We've been watching Paul Navy in the number 12. Kind of scoring him early on as our unofficial leader of this Enduro 250. He's been running well and running up front. And now our Weeby Jam and Jam car is coming out there, going to try and clean things up in our pit gate. Just as he gets out on the racetrack, it looks like we may have an assist over there in the pit area. So we'll see if he works his way up towards the front. Look out, our Weeby Jam and Jam car trying to make his way up to that turn 1 area. Whoops, well, he couldn't quite make it that time. He's going to try and make that swing to the top of the racetrack. I think he's just trying to take some extra laps out there myself. Well, we're trying to get Jeremy Miller on our jam car up there. He is up on that top part of the racetrack. And you can see the signal coming up right now. He's going to try and assist our people in the pit area. And it looks like they are going to make their way into the pit area just as our jam car makes his way into that turn 1 area. So it looks like everything is all squared away. So Jeremy Miller is the number jam car. Anyway, he's going to try and push number 84 into the pit area. So we've been watching the number 12 of Paul Navy. We would ask you to please do not stand on the back of the grandstand seat boards. Do not sit on or lean against the top railing of the bleachers. That's for your safety. Look out, a big traffic jam down here in turn number 1. The jam car gets the number 84 into the pit area. Everybody trying to work their way into the pits right now, creating a traffic jam in turn number 1. So all kinds of action going on right now. It looks like our jam car has spun out in the he's spun the other automobile out. He spun the number 84. That's probably just that figure 8 driving experience of Jeremy Miller. Having a good time in our pit area in the jam car. Anyway, Paul Navy in the number 12. We've kind of been watching him. to get the number 84. And assisted once again, crossed up out there, Gary Calhoun from Romulus. Well, the number 4 starting to show a lot of smoke. That's Ted Blackburn in the number 4. See that automobile really starting to show some smoke. We've been watching the number 12 of Paul Navy, who started up towards the front and moved in to be our leader. He seems to be one of the quickest cars on the racetrack at this point. Once again, we do ask you for your safety in the grandstand area. We don't want you to stand on, the top railing of the bleachers or sit on it. That is for your safety. So if you could please find that seat in the grandstand, we would appreciate it. Or we will have security come around and assist you from standing up on those grandstand seats. Watching the number 12 of Paul Navy in the Enduro 250. A lot of automobiles now seem to be running extremely well. Just a little bit. In our Enduro 250, we have been watching the number 12. And Paul Navy, as we mentioned, has run a number of these Enduro 250s and seems to be running extremely well right now. Al, would you get on your radio, please? Al, would you get on your security radio, please? Take that automobile to the pit area with a flat tire. Paul Navy is the number 12 early in this Enduro 250. Watching him, and he has been one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. We're watching him, counting him as our unofficial leader right now. That's how we kind of keep track on our laps up here. A lot of traffic, a lot of pit stops already in this Enduro 250. So Paul Navy in the number 12 has been running well. Been watching to see if someone will come up and kind of mount a challenge a little bit for the number 12 of Paul Navy, but right now he seems to be one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. And our leader, getting turned around. Look out, Paul Navy. We have been scoring him as the leader, crossed up in turn number 1. That automobile back underway. I believe he was involved with the number 24 of Ken Merritt from Troy, Michigan, really creating a traffic jam. A few of them trying to get into the pit area at the same time. Paul Navy into number 12 right now has got that automobile back underway. We see quite a traffic jam in that turn 1 area trying to get into our pit gate. Number 24, who got into the wall in that turn 1 area, trying to get back into the pack. That's Ken Merritt, the number 24, and he's trying to get back into this battle. And he pulls out in front of the field, and it looks like he's got that car back underway. So we are watching the number 12 of Paul Navy right now, running extremely well, running quick. Although we had a little skirmish over there in turn number 1, he's back underway, continuing to run well. Making quite a move down here on the main straightaway. Get that automobile back into the battle, but right now we are watching the number 12 of Paul Navy. traffic right now in that turn one area. So a lot of traffic in front of our unofficial race leader right now. Paul Navy is number 12. We've got the number 90 coming down here real slow on the main straightaway. Number 98, excuse me. That's John Budnick in the number 98, trying to get his way towards the finish. It looks like Weezy Jam and Jeremy Miller is going to have to come back out on the racetrack once again. So, the number 98 of John Budnick stalled down here on the main straightaway, and it looks like Jeremy Miller in the damn car is going to be making his way back out onto the racetrack once again. Making another appearance here. I'll turn the lights on. Right now, we are continuing to watch Paul Navy in the number 12. Look out, stacking him up on the main straightaway. Brian Norton in the number 41. The number 54 of Mike Bellows, and a whole bunch of dust in that turn one area. And the jam car making its way out onto the racetrack once again, giving assist to Jack Budnick in the number 98, headed towards the finish as soon as Brian Norton's number 41 moves out of the way. We get our jam car moving, and Paul Navy in the number 12 continues to be the quickest car on the racetrack. We believe him to be our leader. Continuing to run well. Seems to be one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. Going down the back straightaway, Brian Norton has had to make a trip towards the pit area. See a couple up the 9 and the 02 making their way to the pit area. John Casella is the number 9, stacking them up at the pit area. Bob Newton is the number 02 and the number 68 of Joe Ryberger. So now Jeremy Miller, the jam car, helping and assisting the number 57. Tony Barrett. So everybody making their way back into the pit area once again. George Miller coming around with a jam car. So really doing the yeoman work this afternoon in our Enduro 250. Paul Navy is the number 12. Your leader as they go down the back straightaway. Oh, the number 79, I believe, is around 73. Crossed up, John Scott trying to get his automobile back into this battle. Paul Navy in the number 12. We believe continuing to lead this event, and he has been the quickest car on the racetrack. We kind of watch and keep our eye on the number 13 of Al Lane as well. Al Lane also runs extremely well in these Enduro 250s, as does Brian Norton. Norton's already been in this area, however. Always keep our eye on the Haywood. See how they're doing at the number 55 of Terry Haywood, although he's done a 360 rush down here in turn number 1. Seems to be running well in that outside groove. You can see the number 59 right there with the number 12 of Paul Navy. So Paul Navy running well early in this Enduro 250. back into the lead. The number 12 of Paul Navy and John Prescott in the number 14 running on the same lap, so they are pretty close on the racetrack right now. So the number 12 going into turn number 1 and Prescott in the number 14 running close on the racetrack. Ken from L&L Concessions to the front booth office. Look out, we got problems in turn number 1. We'll see what the field does. And the number 1 gets backed up over there as they try and avoid that automobile. The number 54 of Mike Bellows, and we got one the wrong way. And I'll tell you what, that's the number 85 of Michael Osborne trying to get out of everybody's way, and I think he's done a pretty nice job now. He's going to head right towards the pit area, probably come right back out that turn 2 gate. So we've been watching the number 12 of Paul Navy circulating the racetrack, and the number 14 of John Prescott. I believe these two drivers on the same lap. So they are running 1-2 right now, as we mentioned. Still early in this Enduro 250. Running off the close on the racetrack right now. We believe both these automobiles to be on the same lap. So they are running pretty close on the racetrack right now. We can see a little bit of that. Look out! We got 2 of them into the wall. 3 of them. Look out! In turn number 4, they are stacking them up. In turn number 4. So we've got a couple of them. And we will ask you to please stay back away from that fence area as we check on those drivers down there. They really got a couple of them stacked up over there. And both the drivers are all right over there, so they are trying to get unhooked. There we go. Look at this. One backwards, one forward. Now, wait a minute. Well, they're trying to, and we got him up on top of the wall, and you can see the rear tires moving, but he's not going anywhere. So this is the number 29 of Bob Rubensky and the number 6 of Gerald McCormick. So the number 6 is trying to unbelievable action down here on the main straightaway. We'll see what happens as the number 6 is now trying to get the number 29 off the wall. This is pretty interesting stuff. Look out! Oh, the number 46 trying to get into this as well. There we go! All right, look out! Oh! Goes right out in front of traffic, and now he stacks up to number 47. Skip Kissel. Skip Kissel going, wait a minute, look out! Oh, Kissel having a good time down there, number 49, look out! We'll see which way he goes this time. I'll tell you what, the number 47, what an exciting little lap we had there. So now they are going down through the infield. Bob's through into number 2 down there, seeing if he can run on the figure 8 track for a while. Well, the number 47 of Skip Kissel decides that he is going to go back out on the racetrack and have some more fun. Right now, we're kind of watching Paul Navy in the number 12 and John Prescott in the number 14. Prescott now has moved back a little bit. Paul Navy in the number 12, continuing to be the quickest car on the racetrack right now. Stacking them up once again. That's the number 60. Look out! Oh, the number 47 is Skip Kissel trying to make his way towards the pit area. Just missing that dude. Oh, we got them stacked up. Look out! In turn number 2, watch the gate. Now we got a couple more of them that are backing their way down the racetrack, and we're going to stack them up now on the back straightaway. Trading a lot of paint and fenders. And they get them all straightened out. Unbelievable action over there in turn number 2. So, and the number 60's got that automobile back underway. Kevin Stefanski as he moves over there in turn number 2. And the number 1 now, the hood coming up. A little aerodynamic change on that automobile. Got one crossed up once again over there in that turn 2 area. So all kinds of action going on. Roger Owens has to take the number 1 towards the pit area to make some adjustments on that hood. So the number 12 of Paul Navy watching that automobile continue to be the quickest car on the racetrack. So you can be our leader. look down here. Paul Navy in the number 12, though, continues on. We see the number 14 of John Prescott going around Paul Navy once again. We thought that most of these automobiles to be on the lead lap, as we mentioned. Trying to follow this Enduro 250. We'll try to keep you updated the best we can, but it all is unofficial right now. So watching John Prescott in the number 14. Paul Navy in the number 12 once again. That's trying to reel it in. So we believe these two drivers may be on the same lap, so we could have a good battle shaping up once again for that first and second position. As we watch some of the automobiles. Number 25 is Cliff Bailey, also running pretty quick on the racetrack. But right now, John Prescott is the number 14. Paul Navy in the number 12. And it seems like Paul Navy in the number 12 is the quickest car on the racetrack right now. And we have been making some scoring checks, but if you've been watching this race for a while, Paul Navy has really been quick. So we can see them. 103. in 104 laps. Could you hold the card up? 103 laps in, is that right? Okay. 102 laps. 101 laps. 100 laps. Can't see that card. We need to see the number. 99 laps. 98 laps. 97 laps. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. So, with our scoring check, we have 3 cars believed to be on the lead lap. Paul Navy in the number 12, the number 14 of John Kremkow, and the number 55 of Terry Haywood. So we believe those are the 3 automobiles on the lead lap. Well, we can move that car up a little bit so he doesn't trash the... It gives you a little feel for the races, doesn't it? I mean, you can just taste it here, the action this afternoon, can't you, from Lebanon Speedway? Gary Gibson stalled down here on the main straightaway. So we are going to have our Weepy Jam and Jam car going out again because they are really moving quick. So the number 12 of Paul Navy going into the pit area. Paul Navy headed towards the pit. So one of our early leaders now headed towards that pit area. So we are watching Terry Haywood 55 and the number 14 now, John Preston. As both those automobiles were on the lead lap, and we need to get the Jan car out on the racetrack to move the number 53. And it looks like the number 39 has decided that he does not want to hit that car real hard, so he is going to give an assist towards the pit area. And that's a pretty nice gesture from the number 39 of Chris Satuma, trying to get that automobile. He probably figures, I don't want to hit this guy real hard. Now we see the number 54 moving slow on the racetrack, creating a little traffic jam over there. And turn number 1, that's the number 54. Mike Bellows having a problem, but he's got it into the infield all right. So. Well, the number 12 of Paul Navy, who has been running well, has made that move into the pit area. Now we're watching 55, Terry Haywood and John Duncan into number 14 as the number 76 tries to make his way slowly to the pit area. A vehicle that lost the tire out there. That's the number 76 of Jim Murney. So that's the reason for the red flag. The driver is out of the automobile, all right. Well, the car's on the back straightaway. together on the racetrack right now as they go out of turn 2. We see Paul Navy hit the number 12, coming right out in front of Haywood and Krepcon. So Terry Haywood, number 12, about 7 laps down right now, but you can see it running side by side. Krepcon in the number 14 on the inside, Haywood at 55 on the outside. Both of them believed to be on the lead lap. And it looks like Krepcon in the number 14 now, moving underneath Terry Haywood's number 55. So John Krepcon in the number 14 on the picture right now. We believe that he could have motored into the lead. So John Krepcon in the number 14, Terry Haywood in 55, running well in this Enduro 250 wing motor in the number 19, crossed up over there in turn number 3, trying to get that automobile back into the battle. John Krepcon in the number 14 right now, and Terry Haywood in 55 running off and close together on the racetrack. Paul Navy in the number 12, several laps down, so he's got a long way to go, but he was awful quick on the racetrack. Well, you can hear the tire go on the number 37. Back straightaway. Well, you can see the tire come apart on the number 37, so laying across the hood of the number 67, Doug Ratley. So watching the number 14 of John Krepcon. Krepcon in the number 14, looking for Haywood at 55 as they look down as we were. We got a tire loose on the racetrack, and that's going to bring out the red flag once again. As look down, they're trying to find a handle as we put the red flag out on the racetrack once again. And our leader really in the jam. The number 14 of Krepcon. The number 14 of Krepcon trashing the front end of his car on the red flag. So Mark Osborne in the number 58 crossed up the wrong way. So John Krepcon in the number 14, who had been running so well. We had a tire loose, you can see it bouncing around, and now it looks like we're going to try and move this number 44 out of the way, or the number 20, look out, here we go. He's going to give us a taste of what's going on. So we do need to move the number 20, having all kinds of problems. Bill Robertson from Westland, Michigan. I can't believe there's a whole bunch of oil left in that automobile. Green flag is out and we're back underway with this Enduro 250, and John Krepcon is the number 14. You see the front end of that automobile, and he lost an awful lot of fluid. And Krepcon in the number 14 going to try and get that automobile towards the pit area. So we're watching Haywood in 55, Al Lane in the number 13 was one of the automobiles that was close. some of the cars that were awful close together within one lap of each other. Now running awful close on the racetrack. Al Lane into number 13, Bruce Bowles in 64, Terry Haywood in 55. They're all close on the racetrack as they come down this main straightaway. And you can see Bruce Bowles in 64 going underneath Al Lane as they battle side by side now. And Terry Haywood in 55 is going to try and get into that battle as they continue to work their way down the back straightaway. So Bruce Bowles in 64, Al Lane in 13, continuing to battle side by side. They were on the same lap with each other. And Terry Haywood in number 55 now. And look out, Brian Norton in number 41, getting out of the way of that traffic coming at him. They continue to battle down here. This is a pretty good battle right now between Bruce Bowles in 64 and Al Lane into number 13. We see that Paul Navy into number 12 now, trying to make up laps as he's went around the number 55 of Terry Haywood on the back straightaway. So Paul Navy making up one of those laps as he comes down the main straightaway. And Bruce Bowles has moved around Al Lane now. Bruce Bowles in 64 has moved around the number 13 of Al Lane. They were running off the close together on the racetrack. And Terry Haywood in 55. So as we mentioned, all the cars that were close on that lead lap are all running close together on the racetrack. Well, we got the Jan car in a precarious position out there, pushing the number 58. Mark Osborne trying to get him around towards the pit area. So hopefully all the drivers out there realize that our Jan car is out there assisting the number 58 as they jump down the inside of him into heavy traffic, making his way into turn number 3. So he is going to definitely have to fix that light, though. You're right. Now Haywood in 55, working his way around. Al Lane in the number 13 as they battle side by side. Bruce Bowles in the number 64 has moved away from that battle somewhat. And he's kind of working the tail of the number 12 of Paul Navy. And now Al Lane hooked together with, look out! Oh, our leader into the wall on the back straightaway. Gets it straightened back out, I believe. So a little bit of action with Al Lane in the number 13. Getting hooked up with the number 80, and now Al Lane is going to have to make that trip towards the pit area. You can see the right front damage done to that automobile. So Al Lane, who had been running well, taking the number 13 to the pit area. So Terry Haywood into number 55 now. Getting out of a couple of skirmishes, and we're watching number 12 of Paul Navy do it. We mentioned with several laps down, had to make that pit stop. Trying to make up ground. Also watching Bruce Bowles into number 64. Coming back out onto the racetrack. 64 coming down the main straightaway on the inside of Al Lane, going into turn number 1, the black number 64 of Bruce Bowles. So we are trying to get the number 55 of Terry Haywood off the racetrack. You can see the windshield coming apart in that automobile. So we do need to get into the pit area, the number 64 73 of John Scott also being set with a bumper problem on that automobile. We need the number 55 once again of Terry Haywood, and they are trying to get him into the pit area. Some of them really shooting into that pit area. Terry Haywood going to the pit area. Finally, we have to put the black flag on the number 55. He had been our leader, and we have to secure that windshield on that automobile. So now we are watching the number 64 of Bruce Bowles. Bruce Bowles in the number 64 have been running well. Al Lane in the number 13 had to make a trip towards the pit area. Paul Navy was several laps down in the number 12. We are looking for Warren Peets in the number 71, who was a one lap down from. And they are stacking up once again in turn number 1. Bruce Bowles in the number 64. We are watching that automobile. In the number 02, almost coming into the wall, and now we got them stacked up here. Stacking them up in turn number 1. They got quite a traffic jam going on. We'll see if they get them all apart. Having a good time. Trey Payne over there in that turn 2 area, and we see 55 back out on the racetrack. So Terry Haywood and crew making a real quick flip stop. So Haywood has got the number 55 back underway. You can see the windshield secure on that automobile. We need to get the driver out of that automobile. And I see the driver in the number 29, bailing out of that automobile. That's Bob Ruginski. He is out of the car as we had a fire over there in that turn 1 area. So that brought out the red flag. Scores, we need to have you seated in the scoring area, please. We are going to run a scoring check at this time. Do we have anyone with 150 laps completed? 149, 148, 147, 146, 145, 144, 143, 141. Lap 1 Terry Haywood in 55, running awful close on the racetrack, running together as they go down the back straightaway. One is Paul Levy, number 12 as well. So look out, coming together into the tire, and they get squared away. That's number 49 and the number 10 coming together. That's Alan Carthy at the number 10, the number 49 of Jerry Hurley, and they get them all squared away. Well, right now, watching the number 64 of Bruce Cole and the number 55 of Terry Haywood. Remember, Terry Haywood a couple 3 laps down in this one and trying to make up one of those laps. Following the number 64 of Bruce Cole. Bruce Cole seems to be running pretty quick right now. The number 64, Haywood trying to get one of those laps back in the number 55. Who has been running well. We are watching number 64, long way to go to make up laps on Bruce Cove. And Haywood into number 55 now, moving around to number 64 of Bruce Bowles. Bowles dodging a bullet over there out of turn 2 as a couple of them get sideways to get him squared away. Terry Haywood into number 55 now, making up one of those laps as he's moved around at the number 64 of Bruce Bowles. Whoa, we really got him stacked up over there. Major league traffic jam. And the number 18 of Ron Garth really gets a tag up there in turns number 3 and 4. All of them. You can see the damage done to the number 18 of Ron Garth. Red flag coming out on the racetrack. Red flag is coming out. We are checking on the number 18 of Ron Garth, who took quite a hit over there in that turn 3 area. We can see the drivers getting out of the automobiles right now. Jimmy Farrell, I believe that's the number 7 car. And all the drivers are okay, so that is good news over there. See the damage done to some of the automobiles. Ron Garth's number 18 really took quite a jolt. I believe that's Jimmy Farrell's number 7. We're trying to figure out the other car sitting up there. Apparently his foot a little bit scalded over there in that turn 1 melee. It's a little tough down there, and we're back underway. Your leader, Bruce Bowles, in the number 64. Into turn 3 and bring it out of turn 4, coming down the main straightaway. Terry Haywood into number 55, got one of those laps back. Brian Norton into number 41, trying to get his automobile going once again. So the number 64, Bruce Bowles, your leader. Terry Haywood has made one of those laps up, and you can see Haywood into number 55, and Bowles in 64 running close on the racetrack down the back straightaway. Number 41 of Brian Norton sitting down there in third, number 1, trying to get out of the way, trying to work his way down towards the bottom of the racetrack, and it looks like the number 12 is going to give him an assist. Or 17, excuse me, of Steve Sassick, and now Brian Norton has got the number 41 on arm's way into the infield. We see Paul Navy with a flat tire, trying to make up laps, and he's got to go back into the pit area for a pit stop. Bruce Bowles into number 64, your leader of this event. Terry Haywood the number 55, riding second at this time, a couple laps down. They're running pretty close on the racetrack as they go down back straightaway. You see Terry Haywood in 55. The 64 of Bruce Bowles is your leader. Haywood made up for one of those laps when he got around him. everyone stacked up. And the red flag is going to come out as we've got the entire speedway blocked in turn 3 and 4, and the red flag is out. So we are going to have to try and sort things out over there. You can see everyone stacked up over there. That's the number 30 of Ronald Keys, I believe, who's coming down on the bottom of the racetrack. And the number 39, Chris Yatuma, really sitting in a bad spot. As we're trying to sort everything out, and we're trying to get Chris Yatuma's number 39 out of that tire over there. They have got the entire racetrack blocked in turns 3 and 4. Everyone be seated in our primary scoring section at this time. We are going to run down a scoring check. Do we have anyone with 191 laps completed? 191, 190, 189, 188, 187, 186, 185, 184, 183, 182, 181, 180, 179, 178, 177. Anyone with 170 or more laps, Steve, we need to, if you're not already up here, we need to move you up here by Steve. So if you have 170 laps or more completed, we need to have you move up here. We need to move you closer together so we can all our personnel out from the infield area and get them back into closer to the X. And we see the number 80 having some problems. Robert Kroll. That car really putting some water down in the back straightaway, and we are just about ready to resume this Enduro 250. 190 laps have been completed. And Bruce Bowles in 64, your leader. Green flag is out and we're back underway. And it looks like the number 55 of our second place automobile, Terry Haywood, not able to continue on the restart down by one of the tires there. And our leader, Bruce Bowles, is number 64 into the pit area. Hold up the card for 13. The number 13 of Al Lane is across left. We are waiting for the number 64 of Bruce Bowles, who was several laps ahead of the number 13 of Al Lane and Paul Navy in the number 12 on the racetrack. And once again, that traffic jam is everyone stacked up. So now Al Lane, number 13, we're waiting on the number 64 of Bruce Bowles to see if he comes back out on the racetrack. Juggled with the number 64 of Bruce Bowles heading towards the pit area. But Bruce Bowles had 100 191 laps completed, so technically, if he can get in, he is still our leader. So, real traffic jam, and here comes our leader, Bruce Bowles, into number 64, even though he made that pit stop. Well, look out, as that number 73 is a loose automobile. As the number 73, and we're seeing if that car will come down. Red flag coming out once again. Red flag coming out. You see the number 73 that did not have a driver in it working around on the racetrack. So, Bruce Bowles in the number 64 coming back out onto the racetrack is still your leader. So, Bruce Bowles with 192 laps, we believe, completed. Al Lane running second now with 187. Paul Navy, one lap back of Paul Navy. Well, that's what we think right now as we continue to check things out. We see Terry Hurwood in 55, who have been running second for so long. He's out of the automobile, out of this race. So, even though he made that foot stop, Bruce Bowles in the number 64 is your leader. Bruce Bowles in 64 making that pit stop, and he was several laps ahead. And Bruce Bowles in 64 remains your leader. Bruce Bowles in 64 is your leader. Al Lane in the number 13 now riding second, along with Paul Navy in the number 12. But those drivers are a few laps back of the number 64 of Bruce Bowles. So things are going to get interesting. We see the number 68 stalled down here on the main straightaway, and that's Joe Ryberger in the number 68. And it looks like our Jan Carl's going to have to come back out onto the racetrack to assist the number 68 of Joe Ryberger. So Bruce Bowles in the number 64, even though he went to the pit area, your leader. up some ground, only a couple laps down, with less than 50 laps to go in this Enduro 250. So Bruce Cole, your leader, in the number 64. Going into turn 1, Paul Navy in the number 12, riding second, Al Lane in the number 13, riding third. Those are your top 3 automobiles. But Paul Navy in the number 12, a couple laps down, as is Al Lane in the number 13. Number 64 leading the way. Paul Navy in the number 12. Starting to close in on him to get back one of those laps. We'll see what happens. That's Bruce Bowles right now in the number 64. Your leader, Paul Navy, in the number 12. In second, a couple laps down and trying to make up one of those laps right now. But it's Bruce Bowles in 64 leading the way. Continuing to lead the way and heading into turn number 3 and 4. Paul Navy trying to make up some distance into number 12, trying to work his way around Bruce Bowles to gain one of those laps back, and he's closing in on him. But right now, Bruce Bowles in control in the number 64 down the back straightaway. Paul Navy in number 12 now, trying to close in to get one of those laps back. So you can see Bruce Bowles at 64. And Paul Navy and the number 12 run off and close together on the racetrack right now. So Bruce Bowles at 54, your leader, Paul Navy, in the number 12 now on his back bumper, trying to gain one of those laps back. Now trying to get that lap back. One of them from the number 64, Bruce Bowles, and he has gotten around him. So Paul Navy in the number 12 now. Moves around and a little bit closer to Bruce Bowles. Continuing to lead the way, Paul Navy in the number 12, riding second. Paul Navy has made up one of those laps. So Bruce Bowles in the number 64 continues to be your leader. Paul Navy in the number 12, riding second. Al Lane in 13, riding third. Those are your top 3 automobiles right now. And Bruce Bowles in the number 64. Paul Navy in the number 12, trying to work his way back into contention. And the number 42 gets into the number 12 of Paul Navy to get him sorted out as he continues to work his way through traffic. now getting into the side of Bruce Bowles as they continue to try to work their way through that melee. And now it looks like we've really got it stacked up, and now they're trying to back it up. So Bruce Bowles in 64 gets back out of the melee. You see Paul Navy in the number 12, who really trying to do some quick work. And now everybody moving at the same time and trying to get into one spot at one time. So you can see Paul Navy got through that quick in the number 12. Bruce Bowles is back through it in the number 64. The number 13, continuing to Bruce Bowles in the number 64, continuing to lead the way. Paul Navy in the number 12, riding second. Top three automobiles, but Bruce Bowles in the number 64 out front with that lead. Paul Navy in the number 12 continues to be the quickest car out in the racetrack. Bruce Bowles in the number 64 continuing to lead the way. Continuing to lead the way. Paul Navy in the number 12, trying to close that gap. Going to get four of those laps back. Bruce Bowles in the number 64, continuing to lead. Paul Navy in the number 12. Al Lane in the number 13. Really taking quite a beating over there. That's Ron Delsey in the number 91, and he's going to try and make a yeoman bonsai move, I think, towards the pit area. The number 64 of Bruce Bowles continuing to lead the way. The number 64 continuing to lead as the laps wind down in this ENDURO 250. Paul Navy is the number 12. Look out as we got one of them getting into the side of the automobile over there once again. Looks like the number 70, Larry Reed, over there, and he's going to try and get back into this battle. So, heavy duty front end damage done to that automobile. Comes around and you can see he's got some tire problems with that automobile as he heads towards the pit area. Larry Reed gets the number 70. The number 64 of look out as they get hooked together in the back straightaway, and our leader, Bruce Bowles, in the number 64, crossed up, and Paul Navy in the number 12 gets another one of those laps back. But the number 64 of Bruce Bowles. Tough break on the back straightaway, getting together with the number 67 of Doug Rattler. And the number 91, beat up and all, is headed towards the pit area. He gets it in. Bruce Bowles in the number 64, continuing to lead the way. in heavy traffic, continuing to lead the way in heavy-duty traffic. Oh, look out. And number 02 about getting into Dwayne Mosley. Continuing to lead the way, Paul Namey in the number 12 has really done some yeoman work to make up some laps. And Paul Namey in the number 12 getting into a tire and cutting down that left front tire after making up all that time. He was closing in. If he'd have gotten around him one more time, I believe he would have been on the same lap with our little blue cold. So, tough break for the number 12 of Paul Namey coming down that main straightaway. Paul Namey in the number 12 has to make that trip towards the pit area again as he got into the tractor tire down here. So, Bruce Fold in the number 64 now is closest competition headed towards that pit area once again. So now the number 13 of Al Lane is your second place automobile. Number 20, yeah, everybody's noticing the number 20 of Bill Robertson, that car that has smoked and smoked and smoked. I'll tell you what, he's still on the racetrack, still running the high side, trying to stay out of harm's way, and the guy's got to have a good time this afternoon. Look out, our best appearing car in the number 19, almost getting into the wall. Number 64 will be looking at the white flag this time by. White flag will be waving for the number 64, Bruce Fold. And Bruce Fold down that back straightaway in the number 64, heading in the turn number 3. And bringing it out of turn number 4 down the main straightaway. Checkered flag waving for Bruce Fold in the number 64. Scores, we do ask you to please remain seated for just a minute, and we want you in an orderly manner once Steve comes up here to hand in your scorecards, please. So coming down on the main straightaway, winner of our Enduro 250 on the main straightaway in number 64, Bruce Fold. Out of St. Clair Shores, Michigan. So scorers, you can start making your way. And we would like to have the pencils back too, if you could please. That's always a nice gesture. So scorers, we do need to collect your scorecards at this time. Give us about a half hour to run down that and Bruce Fold in the number 64, picking up that victory this afternoon in our Enduro 250. So we appreciate you coming out here and being with us on this Sunday afternoon for our Enduro 250. We ask you to please be careful on the way home. And we'll catch you back out here on Saturday night. Time trials 5:30, racing at 7 p.m. A 3-in-1 program of late models, figure eights, and street stocks.
down.